All right, so we are live. It's me. We got Carl here. We got Coley from our NBA podcast mixtape. I mean, let's go in chronological order here because we kind of were all over the place last week. Let's start with episode 3. We'll start with the Rodman episode. I mean, Carl, right out of the gate, Rodman slugging Miller Lights, talking to reporters. I mean, how over the moon were you?
Delightful. I want to make sure we highlight the Dennis Rodman personality that we know and love. There's going to be a lot of that bad boy stuff. There was a lot of that, nasty reputation. So it was important out of the gate early, get him on the GTLFs, get him everybody smiling, laughing. You saw he's charismatic with the media. This is a guy everybody loved that was close to the team.
What'd you think, Coley? What stuck out for the beginning of the Rodman episode?
I feel like Rodman gets painted as like this crazy best friend of a North Korean dictator who may or may not be alive. I feel like we should lead more with like the tale this guy was pulling. This guy, you talk about elite, top shelf only tale. What a legend.
Yeah.
Carmen Electra, I mean, she took Twitter by storm today, but she looks the same. She looked amazing.
I would do bad things to that woman. Just want to put that in there. She's spectacular.
Just Nolan Ryan level consistency with the heater. Just 20 years, just bring 30, just the same fastball over and over again.
Yeah, and one thing I found really interesting, just from obviously Rodman, the antics and everything, but I thought it was kind of cool how what the leadership he took on when Pippen was out. Like that's something I didn't really know, and how when after he got ejected from that game, he went up to his room and no apologies, but he just asked him for a cigar, and that was just like they just knew that was like breaking bread, like, all right, won't happen again,
Yeah, I don't know if you can call him sensitive, but he's definitely like emotionally connected with stuff. Like it definitely bothered him that he lost the bond with MJ when Scotty came back. Like it definitely bothered him to the point where he had to go talk to MJ. But historically speaking, who can expect? That's why I say I don't know if you can call him sensitive because he's not capable of apologizing. But he's definitely smart enough to be like, I have to go look MJ in the eyes. Like, I have to go get this off my back. So what a fascinating, polarizing guy.
No, yeah, he definitely was. And some great clips from everybody. There was Gary Payton. I saw your account tweeted that out. When he's like, he was just a fuck up player. You just put him out there and he just fucked shit up. Which is like the ultimate compliment, I think, right?
Without question. When you, especially like from everyone's considered like all-time greatest defensive guard to be like, oh yeah, no, he could guard me. He could guard my center. He could guard my power forward. Like you just never could account for him. He was just always somewhere causing chaos. Like a true 1 through 5 just didn't give a fuck. He was going to lock you up.
Yeah, and I like the way they did it. So apparently, which I know some people are kind of complaining about the timeline from what it seems. I don't know. Did you guys see that at all?
Yeah, and people who just have never it's like fights. Fights had no idea what was happening, despite the fact like the quality of video very clearly is different when he's on the Pistons. Like those people just don't know, and that's fine. A lot of people, I don't expect everyone to know the lineage of Dennis Rodman's career, but yeah, no, he was on the Pistons, then he wasn't, then he was on the Bulls. Like he didn't go back.
Yeah, like if you don't see the guy with the dyed hair out there, like that was still Bad Boys Dennis Rodman.
Right.
And like obviously we know that, but I guess I could see how it could be a little confusing. But from what I heard, I heard a couple interviews with the director. I guess it's going to get to the point where the timelines meet in episode 9 and 10. So I guess it's made sense for this to be the Rodman episode because it went so deep into the Bad Boys rivalry. And I mean, did you guys see the Bad Boys 30 for 30?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of my favorite ones. So I think a lot of people who watched that were familiar with this, right? And Rodman's especially, you knew about the whole shotgun story in the parking lot. You knew a lot of this stuff, but to kind of get his, look into it, it was pretty sweet, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this, but my favorite part of the Bulls-Pistons rivalry in a story we've heard 1,000 times before is the Pistons walking off the court. But MJ's reaction took that story to the next level for me when he was like, he's an asshole, like fuck, basically just like fuck him. Yeah. But the rivalry at the Pistons too, I loved Horace Grant being like, hey, you really don't understand it until you've lost those 3-4 times. They just take it from you, and to be able to take it from them that time was super gratifying. So that was cool to go behind the scenes of that rivalry.
No, it was.
I didn't much care for them trying to pin the Pistons being sore losers on the Celtics. I didn't care for that one bit.
That was weird, and I had never heard that. Did you ever hear that?
No, and I just obviously like people in Celtics Twitter weren't pleased with it either. So like someone who used to work at the Garden back or work with the team back then was like, no, we had to get people out of there because they were about to storm the court, and it was Detroit in the '80s, and like people were probably gonna get stabbed.
Yeah. And something else that was interesting in the Rodman episode, I guess they both kind of mesh, but episode 3 is what everyone said beforehand. But in that same episode 3, you really got the Doug Collins story, which is also like one of the great stories where it's like what really happened. And I mean, it was just, I guess, as simple as they didn't want to run the offense that Doug want to run. Like they were just too advanced for it, or they have gone behind it. I don't know. It was just that was kind of cool to see how that was told.
Yeah, were you guys familiar with Phil Jackson getting hired under those circumstances? I didn't know that Doug Collins was like, it was like an Eastern Conference Finals loss. Oh, surprise! Here comes Phil Jackson. Like I almost thought that it was more natural. That I was totally taken aback by that.
You know, I don't think I ever really looked into how Collins was usurped. Like it wasn't ever anything on my mind like, oh, how did this happen? Like when I came into consciousness as like a 5-year-old, it was already like Jordan and Phil pretty much.
Yeah. And then the Tex Winters thing, I love that they got into the Tex Winters relationship and how like he had influenced Phil to be a good head coach. So
yeah, I mean
I don't know if Eddie you had seen if you had liked that part.
No, that was like basketball porn, you know?
Big time.
Like that's when it got to the point where like if you love basketball, that was it, you know, seeing the chalkboards and just seeing him and Phil at the end of the bench and him getting shooed away. That was like, all right, this is fucking, if you really like to get down to basketball, like this is it. The point forward, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's basketball, Ernie Adams and Bill Belichick, like the man behind the man, like the mad scientist drawing up everything. Them saying, what did they say? There are like 333 different options in the triangle. That was bananas. It was just like, all right, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I've heard the phrase triangle offense for obviously the better part of like 2 decades. And I think I learned more about the triangle offense tonight, like the 1-minute diagram where they were showing the interactive triangles than I have in the 20 years prior.
Well, that was interesting. And then, going with the bad boy stuff, I mean, that was essentially Bounty Gate. That was more basketball porn when they're like, here's the Michael Jordan playbook. If he's on the wing, you push him in, you make him go left. If he's down in the post, you just beat the fuck out of him. I mean, that was Bounty Gate. Like they were Greg Williams, and there's some connection there.
Yeah, and then having Tim Grover on, the personal trainer, and he's like, we're going to get Mike up to 215. That was like a little Rocky montage in there where, we give him 6 reps, he does 12, and they got him on the lat pull-down machine. You can see every muscle fiber in the guy's arms. It was awesome. I loved it.
I love the idea, like Jordan coming out of UNC and just spending so many years in the NBA, like walking past the weight room, like, what the fuck do people do in there? And then they were like, no, listen, you need to go in there now so we can get past these people who keep beating you up.
And they showed the perfect shot of a scrawny ass Jordan. Like he looked little at that practice. His arms were very tiny.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was a scrawny guy. But that just gives more credence to like how much thunder he had when he was coming down the paint. And I really do think these 3 championship years that you get into 90, 91, 92, 93 are like the most powerful like Jordan years. And it's cool to see the story get told of like, if he wins championships early on, he doesn't get to this point. Like he doesn't get to the, maybe he doesn't, but that psychoticness in the offseason of being like, I have to get to 220. I have to get to 215. I have to get strong so I can dish out the pain. Like if he goes out and sweeps the Pistons first crack at it, like who knows what type of Jordan we get. So it's kind of cool that this is like all part of the narrative of him becoming this, like, the best player of all time.
For sure. And a quote that I really liked out of Dennis Rodman that made a lot of sense, and I'm sure you guys could like understand it completely as well, where it's like, I'll play the game for free. I don't give a fuck about that. It's the other bullshit you get paid for. It's the media. Right. It's dealing with the teammates. And that, I don't know, for me, that really clicked. That was a big line from Dennis.
Coley, I don't know have you ever heard this phrase? It's like hookers, like you don't play him for sex, you pay him to leave. Like it's kind of like that. Like
it's my motto. I've got that tattooed on my wrist.
but yeah, but that kind of takes me into the second episode. We kind of touched a little bit, but the way they started it was incredible. That time ticker, 48 hours, then it just shoots all the way up to 88. Like that's how you start an episode.
Dude, I tweeted it. Can you imagine how just based on the idea itself, how bad of an idea it is to be like, well, one of our players is stuck in Vegas. Who should we send? Michael, like, listen, I'll bite the bullet on this one, boys. I'll go take the flight. Like, he didn't go straight to fucking Rodman's room. There's no chance he went straight to Rodman's room.
No way, dude. He hit tables for multiple hours until he went up there. And I just love that he was like not going to throw anyone under the bus. He's like, I'm not going to say who was in bed, and then boom, cut to Carmen Electra. She immediately threw herself under the bus. Like, couldn't have done it faster. Some other things they got here is obviously same thing with Phil Jackson. Like, I know you didn't know the inception and how it switched over from Collins to him, but him being down in Mexico and Puerto Rico, sorry, and then like coaches getting shot and shit. I mean, Phil Jackson. I mean, not talked about enough how the ride he's had.
They said one team took a live chicken and just gutted it and drizzled its blood all over the bench, and then a mayor shot a ref because he was like a little late. Like, you talk about real deal. Everyone's like, oh, 80s basketball. No, Puerto Rican basketball is where it's at.
That was fucking wild, dude. He's like, and the way he described, he's like, he just drizzled it over the bench. It's like, man, you know what I mean? I'm like, wow.
All-time intimidation for like if Ron Artest just walked out to half court and just like bit a chicken's head off and just like left it there, it's like, all right, we lose.
Yeah, but now that we know Phil Jackson, like, he liked it. Like, that's like, he's such a weird guy, the artisan or whatever. He enjoys the whole circle of life stuff. The weird guy.
Oh yeah.
That episode basically painted him out to be like full Native American.
Yeah,
that was insane.
It did, yeah, because they went from, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they talked about doing an Indian run, which I think most people know what that is. They've done one in youth sports or whatever. And then they just jumped into him being like obsessed with Indian culture, which was pretty interesting. But you're right. Yeah, being down in Puerto Rico, like he just definitely enjoyed grabbing a couple beers and walking around like the streets barefoot. And, you know what I mean? He's just like kind of a free soul.
And they probably thought he was like a god down there. I mean, he's like 7 foot, big mustache. Like, you don't see a lot of Phil Jacksons walking around Puerto Rico. You just don't. Big guy, big body.
Yeah, you definitely don't. And then another big part here in the second episode, or episode 4, was the migraine game, which we all kind of saw coming. You get to that game 7, and Scotty was just non-existent, really.
Yeah, and he's gotten a lot of shit for that for a long time. And even when they first brought it up, Jordan was like, yeah, that was the migraine game. But then by the end of it, he was like, look, man, migraine's like, there's nothing you can really do. But I still think he blames him for it, like 50%.
And I think those were 2 different shots. Like, in one shot, he was wearing a maroon shirt, and he was like, oh, the fucking migraine game. And then the other shot was like later at night, like after he'd had a couple glasses or bottles of wine, and he was in the blue shirt, and he was like, yeah, I think that happens, So I don't know where like the real Mike opinion lies. Like, what do you think?
I think it's the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You.
Now let me ask you this. What really kind of struck me too in that 4th episode was how he was like, oh, when Scotty would get knocked down, I just had to keep telling him like, yo, I'm here with you. I'm there with you. Like, I'm going to battle for you. Just keep battling yourself. Is it kind of safe to say that Pippen under a different kind of regime, with a different team, like Pippen might be a bust?
Like if he had just went to the Sonics and never came to the Bulls?
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know. Like for him, like he seemed like a big mental guy. Like it was all kind of in that. And like, obviously he was very, very gifted, but like, I don't know. To me, that just struck me. I was like, man, like he really, really kind of molded him into who he was.
He did. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go Coley for sure.
I was just gonna say, like, because we already saw Pippen's like journey to get to the NBA. It wasn't that he like wasn't a hard worker before that. So like just to even get there out of was it Southern Arkansas, whatever the fuck, just just to even get to the league through that. Like he clearly had some work ethic, but yeah, if he wouldn't have become that like top 20 all-time player without Jordan and Rodman and everyone like riding him and Charles Oakley choking him out as a rookie and stuff like that. Like if he was just under Sean Kemp's wing with Seattle, definitely a different guy.
Yeah, for sure. I like the part too about how the point forward and revolutionizing that through the triangle offense. Like that shit I just don't know. I don't think about. I don't understand that. And when you think about Scotty's career, and it's really cool that like Tex Winters in the triangle and how that had like, you know, basically given him the creativity and his background as a guard. Like that's just stuff I don't know, you know.
Yeah, no, that was sweet. And I don't know, that just really hit me where it's like Scotty really needs someone to kind of, I don't want to say straight and narrow, but just someone to kind of guide him a lot. And obviously Jordan did that to him. And the handshake game, that was a big part of the 4th episode. We kind of touched on it a little earlier. I don't know. Where do you guys stand on Isaiah? Do you guys both hate him? Carl, you can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's obviously a piece. He just got bested by Jordan. Like he's a competitive guy. He's just not the best. Like he's like, you know, a second tier NBA competitive piece of shit. But like if he was better, people would probably like him more. And he was still great, you know. I just think he's a competitive piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean Isaiah, before Jordan was even on that level, he was out there playing through like broken ankles. He was like he's from Chicago, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's one of the all-time, like your own city just does not fuck with you at all. I don't know. He's obviously done some weird shit off the court after his playing days too, so he's got that baggage attached to him. I've never really hated him, but I am a huge Jordan guy, and Jordan till he's dead and buried will never fuck with Isaiah Thomas, so it's hard to fuck with him.
Yeah, no, I don't know how much research you've done, but there was always that rumor about he didn't make the Dream Team 92 team.
Oh yeah.
Because of this? Was it because of the handshake and just him just being a general all around fuck?
1000%.
No, it was but it was also Michael's first All-Star game when they iced him out and they didn't pass him the ball at all. And like that was like an Isaiah thing. And then like they like carried that in the playoffs. But I know for a fact that like MJ's hatred for Isaiah stems a lot from like that All-Star game. It's just funny, yeah. Like it hasn't gone away at all the least bit. If anything, it's just stronger. But I think again, my point, like Isaiah, I tons of respect as a basketball player. And yeah, Coley's a Chicago guy. He's fucking legend around here. I just think the fact that like he just came out looking like a bitch against Jordan, like his competitive fire, it gets spun differently. Where like instead of like, you know, that ultimate competitor, he looks like a sore loser. You know, and it's because of that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that's how I feel too. It's weird because everything you see from that, it's like, just the way he talks, he just kind of seems a little bit like a pompous fuck. But at the same time, like he's just I still respect the shit out of him for being, you know, just a guy from the west side of Chicago and doing what he did. So I don't know, it's weird. I think I do like Isaiah, but I know it's kind of a weird take. It's a weird feel with a Chicago guy, I guess.
What did you think of his comment where he was like, usually I'm doing the sweeping?
I mean, you know, those teams were legendary, man. And he's right. Like that was those little gap teams are interesting. And it's funny enough, the mid 2000s Pistons were another kind of middle gap team between, you know, the Kobe Lakers. So I don't know, like there's something special about those teams that were able to crack the dynasties almost. But it was just kind of his way of getting one more shot in there, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he said it though like he had like 10 rings. Like, that's how he said it. And it's like not quite Isaiah, like a little, tone it down a little.
It's very cocky. Like, yeah, I know we got swept. We walked off the court, and it was uncomfortable for me because usually I'm doing it. You know?
Yeah, it was very cocky.
It was very funny though how like Detroit's one thing was like, yeah, we're just going to be more physical than them. And the second the Bulls were just like fed up with them being physical, Chuck Daly was sitting on the bench like, well, I got nothing else. That's it. That's all I had.
That's all I got. Knock his head off. And then it obviously, before it ends, like the little teaser for next week is the first ring. I actually, whereas we're talking about Isaiah, how he came off, I thought Magic Johnson came off very well.
Oh,
you know, when him saying like, you know, because now I just see him as this like weird, delusional, like most Captain Obvious Twitter of all time. Where I saw him back then, I was like, oh, like he was like a like a really respectful guy. He's like, yeah, it felt good to lose to Michael, so that was kind of cool.
Well, Magic wanted to be that way with Bird. Bird was always like, when we're on the court, you can go fuck yourself. Like even after the game, before that, you can go fuck yourself. You see me at a random restaurant, yeah, we can talk. But like him and Isaiah used to give like each other like pecks on the cheek like during games. Like he's always been that way with guys he competed against. It was Bird who was like, no, we're gonna be rivals, and you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And then we kind of end there. Awesome stuff on the plane with him collecting bets from the Super Bowl. Him talking about Scott Burrell being like, "You're a drunk dude."
Poor Scott Burrell.
Yeah, like he just loved fucking with him. You could tell. He's like, "Dude, come on, man." They're like, "They're gonna see this. They're gonna see this." It was just that was it was a strong way to end, and it was just with the Jazz looming in the Western Conference. I thought it was a nice kind of teaser or cliffhanger type deal.
Yeah, what did you think of the on the plane? Quick question: what did you guys think of Jerry Krause's Sipowitz's, like his short sleeve? Do you guys like that move? Does it make sense? Like, if you were Jerry Krause, would you Sipowitz in the '90s?
I mean, that was his moment, man. They got the first title. Like, anything goes at that point, I think.
Yeah, it fit him so well. You know what I mean? Like me personally, no, I wouldn't. But him, he looked like so much in his element. He was killing it.
Yeah, I mean, he really did actually pull it off. Where you're like, it doesn't look that bad, but like, I don't know if any of us could pull it off. Good for him.
No,
for sure. But all right, then, before we end here, anything that you kind of overall, are you happy with it after the first 2 episodes last week, or do you think did they miss something this time around? I don't know. Where are you at right now, Coley?
I feel like Rodman's so fascinating, and I know it is a Jordan thing, but I do think they could have dove. Like, have you guys ever seen the movie he made and produced himself about his life?
No.
It is a wild ride. He'll like interject and have like random asides where he's just sitting in a chair, and it's like an acted movie. Like he's not in that part of the movie, but he'll just pop up randomly and talk throughout it. Highly recommend it. It's terrible, but it's in depth, very in depth. And I know it's the Jordan documentary, but I thought if they were going to, I feel like we dove deeper into Scottie Pippen's background than Rodman's. And I know Rodman has more to talk about, so maybe it was hard, but I wouldn't have hated going a little bit deep because they kind of just glossed over the fact that he almost killed himself. They mentioned it, but they were on to the next.
Yeah, they did gloss over. I don't know if they expected us to know that from, like I said, his doc or the Bad Boys one, but they definitely should have put a little more on that, especially when they teased it as such, the Rodman episode.
Yeah.
Carl, what about you?
I just want to get more into the building the 97, 98 teams now that we've laid the foundation with the key players. Like, give me the Kukoc Nuggets, give me the Kerr Nuggets. Let me know how those championship teams came together, and let's start rolling a little bit more on that. I want to see some front office stuff going. So that's what I'm looking for next couple episodes.
One would think though that next is probably retirement and his dad dying, right? Or I don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
It looked like they're teasing a lot of Dream Team with the next one, which definitely will bring up Kukoc when Pippen and Jordan just gave him hell. But yeah, it's weird that I agree. I want to see more 97, 98. I know, we all know the Dream Team stuff. I guess there are some people out there who don't as much, but yeah, it does feel like they're going backwards before they can get into what I signed up for.
It would be nice if they did Dream Team, Blazers, Suns in kind of one episode and just kind of hammer that out. Yeah. And then if they did the next episode, that kind of could end with him retiring. And then the next episode could be about what he did in retirement, and that could end with him coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a fucking producer. I'm just
yeah, we're rolling though.
It's all in here,
The one-liners are definitely something, and just the middle of him crushing that beer before hopping on the bike was just unbelievable.
Unreal.
I feel like Miller Lite wouldn't want that in there.
No. Way.
I posted the video to social, but I did leave out the motorcycle.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed you did that.
Thank you.
But I was just I imagine anybody doing that now, regardless of the beer company. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
There were so many people watching. It wasn't even I know there was no social media back then, but still so many people were just there. There's Dennis Rodman crushing a tall. Is he getting on that bike?
Crazy, dude. Well, all right, boys, thanks for hopping on.
Yep.
2 down. We got 3 to go. So, yeah, that's it for today, everybody. We will catch you next time. Thanks, boys.
All right.
It's a good way to end it there.
It was great. I